Thank you, Chair. Mr. Mchunu, I'll try that question again. Is it better now? It's good. Okay, I'm happy. Thank you. You had indicated that after you were appointed, you had caused for lack of a better term, I'll call it investigations into this lady Mashale, and you received whatever reports you did. And if I understood you correctly, they were not particularly favorable. Now, this is before the disbandment. So my question was, which is where we broke, having received such reports about her from an investigation initiated by you, when you are then finished with the allegations she makes only on Facebook against an entity you are politically responsible for, why do you take her allegations at face value and not interrogate them? Or cause at least for the issues raised therein to be properly investigated before you act upon them?
What happened after I received the report? It was with advice, and I did exactly that I should avoid speaking to her, and I had not spoken to her when I received the advice, and I kept it that way. I've never spoken to her. What I do is when I see something that she would have written, I just read and leave it like that. So I'm not relying on this. I'm just indicating it as something in the environment, not necessarily to say, yes, why did you rely on this? That's why I said reliance is quite heavy loaded for what actually is represented here. Here, I'm just throwing things that came into, simply because the report also said, in some cases, yes, she would say something that is reliable, but in most of the cases, no. So I don't put any weight to the extent that it would have been taken to influence me into disband. And most of the time, she writes about crime intelligence more than NPKT2.
So you place these issues before the Commission under a specific heading, human rights concerns emanating from the public, and under that heading, you include Ms. Mashale'S Facebook claims. You state at your paragraph 71, these being reports from civil society actors, whistleblowers, SAPS members, Parliament, you clarified the issue of Parliament with Commissioner Baloyi, and members of the public. You say these raised concerns about human rights abuses by members of the NPKTT, governance failures affecting various temporary and ad hoc task teams, including but not limited to the NPKTT. They formed part of the broader pattern of structural issues with SAPS that required ministerial attention. So based on what I read, my understanding is Ms. Mashale'S Facebook postings, notwithstanding what you subsequently learned of her based on your investigations, they required and received your attention as the minister, the ministerial attention. Is that so?
You would recall that Commissioner Baloyi asked me some questions in relation to categories, and I said the names of people.
Yes, at paragraph 73.
The list.
Yes.
Are people in SAPS, and we engaged with them openly and all of that. And she asked the question specific, are these people part of those who complained about PKTT? And I said no. Now, those that complained about PKTT, who would be associated with that statement that you've just made, are those that are in the envelope. She's out of them. She has nothing to do with those.
Okay.
I was merely at a high level indicating what came into the environment, but there's no decision because all the decisions that we took in relation to complaints brought to us were from people who are indicated here.
Yes.
Clearly.
Yes.
And we did follow them.
So then we must accept that when you speak of human rights concerns emanating from the public, that doesn't extend to the claims made by Ms. Mashale in her Facebook postings, which postings you have shared with the Commission. She doesn't fall in that category of those who advance concerns regarding human rights abuse.
She calls herself a whistleblower.
Okay. I'll put it differently. What value do you ask the Commission to attach to Ms. Mashale's Facebook posts, considering that you have confirmed that you did not test the veracity of the claims she advances? So what value are you asking the Commission to place on that?
I'm not asking the Commission to put or not to put any value of whatever weight. I'm merely saying this is one of the things that came into my environment during that particular period.
Yes.
But I had a qualification for it based on the advice that I got from IGI, who didn't say she is absolutely untrustworthy or whatever. He just advised that, well, most of the time this is the case. Some of the things she says are true, some of them are not true, and all of that. And I avoided talking to her directly and so on. This is just environmental, not the commissioners. If there were to be a privilege of advice as you request, I would say that this is an environmental issue. And when I discussed with National Commissioner, we described it as an environmental issue.
And it can be environmental in the manner, I guess we all understand. It's a sub-environmental issue. Not, I shouldn't think trees and streams when you say environmental. Just, I don't want us to talk past one another.
Okay.
Okay. Except the challenges here, Minister, the caution you applied to her material following the IGI investigation, you overlooked in your statement to disclose to the commissioners to say, so that they know that they're being given this information, but there's a caution that don't rely on that because the author of those claims is, I won't say questionable, I don't know what the report was. But you didn't attach any caution, at least for the benefit of the commissioners. Why didn't you?
Correct.
Yeah.
That was oversight.
Okay.
My apology.
Then, as I said, in your statement, you start with Ms. Mary De Haas.
Sorry,
sorry.
May I? You want to? Okay. Minister, still about Ms. Mashale. I am concerned that you now disavow your reliance on her as one of the factors or people you took into account in your decision to disband the PKTT. And here's why I have that concern. In paragraph 71, which we looked at, you list her. You said she's a member of the public. I don't have a difficulty with that. Who made complaints about the NPKTT. But then when you go to 77, paragraph 77, the heading is Patricia Mashale. You say there, on or about 18 September, I was appointed. My attention was brought to posts on social media by a whistleblower. I don't have a difficulty with you referred to her as a whistleblower, Ms. Mashale. And then here's what you say. You say, Ms. Mashale made serious allegations against General Masemula, Lieutenant General Kumalo, and the NPKTT. So you say she's made allegations about the NPKTT. You've given us a list of posts, of Facebook posts that were made for her. I have read them more than once. Nowhere do they refer to the PKTT, her posts. Not a single one of them. They refer to General Kumalo, they refer to other people, they refer to crime intelligence. Nowhere is there a reference of the PKTT. So it is not correct that you say she made allegations about the PKTT, and I think you do need to correct that.
Point taken,
Yes.
Commissioner.
So there were no allegations from her about the PKTT.
Correct.
Yes. So you couldn't have correctly or validly taken her posts into account in your decision to disband the PKTT.
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Thank you. And you do confirm, just for completeness, you do confirm, we won't go into the posts. I know they're in a bundle here, and there were quite a number of them that I looked at. But just a summary of her posts from paragraph 78 of your statement up to 86. In fact, 86 is your conclusion. Up to 85, none of those annexures make a reference to the PKTT. You confirm that? So from what you've done is from
85.
Up to 85, you've got annexure. At 85, it's now SM13. None of those annexures make any reference whatsoever to the PKTT.
Yes, that's why, Commissioner, I said any complaint about PKTT comes from the envelope, not from the list, neither is it from
Ms. Mashale.
these other categories here,
Okay.
including Mr. Haas.
Okay. So when you say at 86.4, concerns that certain task team structures were susceptible, remember, maybe let me start at 86 at the top. The top of 86, it says, that sentence says, the disclosures made by Mashale, Ms. Mashale, expose the following structural issues, and then you list them. And then in 86.4, you say it exposes concerns that certain task team structures were susceptible to manipulation or abuse. Ms. Mashale doesn't speak of any task teams that are being abused or manipulated, but more specifically the NPKTT.
Correct.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let's then turn to Ms. De Haas's allegations that you cite under that heading. You deal with Ms. De Haas from paragraph 74. And you state at page 27 of your statement, I also noted complaints from Ms. Mary De Haas, an academic and long-standing observer of policing oversight issues in KwaZulu-Natal. These complaints are attached here to and marked SM8. SM8 is your annexure, and it will be in file 2 of your statement, yes, file 2. SM8 starts at Have you located it?
I haven't.
It starts at page 265. You see that?
Yes.
So let's then look at your SM8. On my reading, it is actually made up of multiple documents, and I would like that we won't deal with all of them, but I note from SM8 that at 274, Ms. Dihas, on the 31st of October 2024, wrote a letter specifically to you, the Honorable Minister of Police, Mr. Mchunu, and this appears to have been dispatched per email. Are you at 274?
Yes.
Just for the record, you confirm, well, I take it you confirm receiving this document because you are the one providing it to the Commission.
Yes.
Thank you. And this letter is quite a lengthy one, but I just want to highlight some aspects. And it starts under item 1. This letter and its 3 appendices is to request that, for reasons I set out fully below, you take urgent and appropriate action to deal with the abuses and gross wastage of personnel and financial resources by the irregularly constituted political task team. Do you see that?
Yes.
I continue. In this regard, I request you, 1.1, instruct the National Commissioner SAPS to immediately disband the irregularly constituted, unnecessary and wasteful political killings task team and send its investigators back to the detective units established provincially and nationally in terms of the SAPS legislation. The National Commissioner must immediately stop the deployment of General Kumalo, who heads CIS, to this task team, which he did not have the qualifications and experience to command in the first place. Why was he allowed to occupy both positions, for neither of which he has qualifications at the same time? I'll pause there for a moment. Did you respond to Ms. Dihas's letter?
Possibly we did by acknowledging correspondence as we normally do, but I didn't substantively respond.
Okay. And is it fair to assume that in that letter, one of the first things you raised with Ms. Dihas is that she errs when she considers the political killings task team to be irregularly constituted, because you know differently? Did you bring that to her attention?
As I say, I didn't respond to her substantively.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Perhaps let's start here. Do you recall what issues you could potentially have raised in your response? You can't, off the top of your head.
I didn't respond substantively to her.
Okay, how did you respond then? I get it's not substantively. I'm trying to understand.
It would just be acknowledgement or of receipt of what she wrote, but not substantively.
Also, in your response to her, you didn't engage with the content of her letter?
No, not at all.
Why not?
Well, I felt that it was sufficient to acknowledge that I received the letter, but without necessarily substantive follow-up on the matters.
So then it has got to be that you took the content of her communication, this letter, seriously. It required no further engagement with Ms. Dihas on, no verification, because we know from your statement that those are as some of the PKTT issues and challenges that you had in mind when you decided to disband. So you took on board what Ms. Dihas told you. Regarding the PKTT in this instance, she goes broader, of course, in that letter against various senior personnel within SAPS. But let's confine ourselves to PKTT. You accepted her allegations as she advances against PKTT, and they informed your decision to disband, amongst others.
No, not to that extent.
Okay, to which?
I just read what she was saying, and we acknowledged the receipt. Not to say that it would have played any role to whatever extent when I wrote the letter.
So this letter too does not reflect the human rights abuse concerns that you enumerate under that heading in your statement.
I indicate that in my statement, insofar as she indicated those things to me as part of what I received, not to say it would have been the only factor that I saw this and then it influenced me. It is just something that I acknowledged, but it is, I must say that I am aware, other than from her, of what I indicate here, and part of it is in the allegations made by the 8 people. So it was merely to indicate, but I know that there are other people outside this. In fact, it could be more than 2 in the 8 who had specific cases that could be interpreted as of human rights abuse.
I'm a little confused, Minister. Did you take this letter into account when you made your decision on 31st December 2024?
Not necessarily the letter, but I took what I had picked up in the process into consideration. I had that, but without necessarily attaching a weight that could be interpreted as having influenced you to write the allegation. There are structural issues, there are budget issues and other issues that were more weighty than this. This I threw in as part of the environment.
So the similarity between the language used in this letter and your disbandment letter, purely coincidental?
Purely coincidental. I didn't memorize anything.
You didn't have it with you when you wrote your disbandment letter?
No. In fact, most of the letters, and I suppose this is one of the letters, the way we do it in the office, PAs would present a letter. There's a letter here, Minister. It comes from so-and-so and so-and-so. Summarize the content. The complaint is about 1, 2, 3. Write acknowledgement and file the letter. And I didn't have it at all.
Thank you, Commissioner. You say before your engagement with Commissioner Khumalo, your response to my question was that this was not the only factor, correct? The contents of this letter.
Yes.
Is it correct to say that it was one of the factors?
It would be correct to say it was one of the factors, in a sense that I'm putting it, because the factors, when you do something, you don't weight them the same.
Yes.
But even if they are all factors.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, that is important to know because she raises a number of issues. So I'll just perhaps go through a few to see which played a role in this decision. But before I do so, I would like to invite your comment to her paragraph 1.2. And that, remember, she said, in this regard, I request you to, we dealt with the first sub point at 1.1. Now I'm at 1.2, still at page 274. And she says, prioritize the establishment of a judicial oversight body to investigate the dockets taken by the task team, including but not exclusively the 3 matters I provide details of in the annexure. Since there is a great deal of other information about grossly irregular conduct of this task team, the investigative mandate of such a body must be wider than these 3 cases. Then she says there is a great deal more information about the suspicious and criminal actions of this task team. I don't have to go beyond that. My first question to you is, did you understand what judicial oversight body Ms. De Haas was calling for?
Not to the extent that I engaged her on it, just on reading what she was saying.
But just from the reading here, were you able to appreciate what she's talking about or what she's asking of you to do?
I think I understood judicial where you appoint a judge to investigate.
You wouldn't have if it's a judicial inquiry, I speak under correction perhaps, but I've always understood that to be the preserve of the president. Is that what she had in mind? Or
exactly, because that any judicial inquiry is appointed by the president. I just saw that and understood it in that particular context.
So her request to you that you establish one, it's doesn't make sense. She doesn't understand how the law works and how the systems work, right? Would it be fair to say so?
It would be fair.
Yeah, okay.
It would be fair.
I think the most important part of that subparagraph is the claims she makes. And she says there's a great deal of information about the grossly irregular conduct of this task team. The investigative mandate of such a body must be wider than the 3 cases. So she specifically says there is a lot of other information regarding the grossly irregular conduct of the PKTT. Do you see where I am? Because this is the PKTT she's talking about here. And for avoidance of doubt that it is the PKTT, her subject line in the letter reads as follows, a call for the immediate disbandment of the SAPS political killings team under the command of General Kumalo, and the urgent establishment of a judicial oversight body to investigate task team operations and cases and related matters. So we know this is the task PKTT she's talking about. And she alleges that it is guilty of a great deal of grossly irregular conduct. Did that concern you?
Well, on eyesight, as you read, you do get concerns.
Yes.
But you read and the extent of allegations, wide nature, and the way she writes, just too many things all at the same time. You get the impression that she's all over.
Yes.
And you end up with that kind of a taste in your mind.
Yes. And it is quite a long letter, and she covers various topics.
Yes.
And I think I appreciate your challenge, but matters such as what I have read would surely strike you once there are allegations of gross irregularities by an officially established task team of SAPS. Is the matter that really would be of concern? I would expect it to be to you. Would it?
I'm saying, insofar as you read, you come across.
Yes.
It sounds like that.
Yes.
But you go on and read, you finish. You have that kind of a mixed feeling up until possibly you get to an incident that there could be a concrete reference that could be there or referenced. And then you would be able to raise your level. But it's not like you want not to read what she has written. You want to read. She's quite, especially those of us who come from KZN, we recognized her as a person of substance
Yes.
and sound mind for quite a long time,
Yes.
and very helpful during the dark days of the apartheid era and struggle for liberation era. So from that background, you don't cut off and say, I no longer, but
Yes.
you know, but your extent of attention to detail follows the pattern of writing, if I could describe it as such.
If then I can just test my understanding, sorry, to use your words, she's all over. So you say you start reading as you go on. It's half a book. Are you suggesting that whilst it may have struck you being on the first page,
Yes.
that there are allegations of gross irregular conduct by PKTT members,
Yes.
as you read on, by the time you reach the end of the document, you question yourself seriously about the validity of the claims advanced? Is that...
You do have those questions raised, especially despite the fact that she also wrote to Parliament.
Yes.
And raised more or less similar issues, to the portfolio committee.
Yes.
But you do have that, but you are not saying you don't recognize.
Indeed.
You haven't read anything. You don't leave with that impression that I've read nothing. You say there is something that she's saying, but you leave it at that.
So then, based on that explanation you gave, we shouldn't expect you to have acted on that claim and investigate this grossly irregular conduct. Because as you say, she goes on and on and on until you basically question yourself whether there is substance to her allegations.
Yeah, because unless they refer to specifics.
Yes.
If she says there's more information, there's more information, you can hardly, unless you really are dedicated to check what those things are.
Okay. I'll skip 275. She deals with other issues there under 2 and 3. I'll go to 4. And at 276, she starts with General Khumalo. She says the background of General Khumalo is of relevance. It is rather late in the day for us to engage with the detail of what. In relation to this issue regarding General Khumalo, she states, in 2018, former disgraced SAPS National Commissioner Cele, who himself is implicated in at least 2 serious criminal cases which have been opened, has been appointed Minister of Police, had been appointed Minister of Police. He's believed to have arranged a placement for Khumalo, whom he probably knew from the 1970s in the KZN, in the political killings team. Then she speaks of Khumalo being the head of PKTT, makes quite a couple of many allegations. But the important thing is at the bottom of 276, she concludes that at the end of 2022, Khumalo was appointed by Cele to head SAPS crime intelligence, having no training or experience in that field either. So he currently occupies both positions. Recent media reports refer to serious allegations against him by other CIS general, or by another CIS general, in brackets, who is alleging that attempts to dismiss him are malicious. In matters relating to Khumalo, I have made reports to Parliament from 2021. Are you aware, or did you engage Parliament at any level and in any form about these matters that Ms. De Haas had brought to the attention of Parliament regarding General Khumalo? Did you make inquiries or try to find out?
No.
Oh. This is General Khumalo, head of crime intelligence. That's a very senior post. You were not inclined to even inquire?
No,
Okay.
I didn't.
Why not?
I wouldn't say I was not inclined, but I didn't.
Okay. I find it quite odd, because if we go back to your paragraph 73, where you list all these HR issues by various lieutenant generals and major generals, you engage with the issues and you even appoint the deputy minister to resolve the issue. Now, these are lower ranking officials within SAPS, and here you are confronted with allegations against a senior member, no less than the head of crime intelligence, SAPS. And we are told that Parliament has been made aware of these issues, but you don't engage with those ones. You don't.
Not really. I didn't engage Parliament.
Then at 6, at 277, she's got cases there she refers to. Says you'll note that in the 3 cases detailed in the annexures, there are other common themes, all linked in one way or another to political interference by former police minister Gele. And based on what she had said above, the political interference would be interference within the SAPS environment. Did you understand it the same?
Yes.
Now, if you have a former minister interfering politically in that environment, was it not incumbent upon you to do something? And if the question is, what do you do? I would say the first would be to engage the president. You didn't think to have a discussion with the president, more so as the 3 of you, the president, yourself, and as I understand, Minister Gele, are from the same political party. So even if you don't do it through the official channels of the executive, that you can do it within the political sphere, within the same political party. That you have concerns that the former minister is interfering in SAPS affairs. You didn't do that.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Now, it goes on in that vein, but seeing as I think your response will be you did not act upon any of her allegations, you didn't make further inquiries. But these claims advanced by her are some of the issues you took into consideration in disbanding the team. That is why you placed them before the commission. Is that a fair conclusion?
Less of particular claims, more of what you see as it is, that she wrote, and I'm saying to the commission, she wrote.
Yes.
And this is what she wrote.
Now, you didn't investigate any of her claims in circumstances where you have the absolute resources to do so. What minister are you asking the commission to do with the contents of that letter and those claims? I dare say the commission has got far less resources than your office would have to investigate these claims. What are you asking the commission to do?
Well, I'm asking the commission to see what I saw.
Okay.
And then the commission will decide.
But you would like the commission, having seen what you saw, to then understand that what you didn't take these issues into consideration in disbanding the task team.
That I didn't take.
That you didn't, or you did take them into consideration. Where do we land?
Not in the sense of all these matters that are indicated here, but in the sense of her having raised some issues.
Yes.
I said, one of the people who wrote to me is this one, this is what she wrote. But without necessarily picking up a specific issue and saying whatever I would have said in writing. In writing the directives, I was just focused on the issues that I raised.
Yes. I hear your answer. I'm somewhat struggling to understand it, but the fault is mine. I've had a long day, so I don't lay that at your doorstep. As long as the commissioners understand, that's the most important. Thank you. Thank you.
So
Minister.
can I just understand that last part, Minister, what you've said there? In the context of this conversation that you exchanged, that you've been having with Ms. Sillo, are you saying you did take into account the issues raised by Ms. Dihas as contained in the documents that you have placed before us in your decision? Is it part of what you took into account, or you did not?
I didn't, in the sense of issues, picking up this issue that she's raising, that issue, and then say these issues are two or three of the issues, and I'm now accepting them as part of factors. But in the context of her writing about various issues as a violence monitor, I just said, what did Mary say? What is she saying? She's saying what she's saying here, what she said in the portfolio committee, and I'm making it available to the commission, and nothing beyond.
Okay, so if we listing the factors that you took into account,
Yes.
if we create a table of the factors you took into account, should we exclude the Mary Dihas submissions to you? We should say, no, the minister did not take anything that Mary Dihas said to him in his decision to disband the PKTT. I'm asking the question in that way to try and understand what you did with these submissions from Ms. Dihas.
Exactly that, because I didn't go through them as I sat down to write, to say I'm picking up this. If I remembered at all, I don't recalling what is contained here. It was merely to say, people who ever said something to me made allegations of whatever nature, of whatever extent, validity. These are the ones who I read about or I came across. So I would say, by and large, the commission will apply their mind. I applied my mind, not to get into detail, not to pick up anything, because, as I say, not to go to the president about them, not to go to parliament about them. So the commission will make up their mind.
We're not making up our mind, to use your language, in a vacuum. We get the documents, we read them, we make up our minds about them. We're not doing that.
Okay.
We look at your decision. Remember, the terms of reference require us to also look at whether any member of the executive abetted, aided, is complicit in the infiltration. Something that I know it's not the exact wording, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
There's that term of reference. So when we look at Dihas's documents that you have placed before us and what you say in the statement about her, we look at it for the purpose of determining if it influenced your decision in any way, because that's our only interest, is did Ms. Dihas have anything to do with the decision of the minister? That's why Commissioner Khumalo asks you, is it a coincidence that your letter looks like hers? It's because we are looking at, you've given us this document from Ms. Dihas. Do you give them to us because you say, yeah, look at that, those 100 pages, that's part of what I took into account? That's one possibility why you place them before us. Or we say, well, we've listened to the minister. He's told us that Mary Dihas is completely irrelevant to his decision to disband the PKTT? I'm trying to get that kind of clarity for myself. Is she completely irrelevant?
Specifically, she is not relevant on these matters, but human rights issues are relevant.
Yeah. Minister, let's take it slow. My question, Ms. Dihas writes to you with a whole lot of demands and telling you what must happen. And then she gives you, either she gives you or you got hold of these documents. And we're interested in the period before you made your decision,
Yes.
not what you went and said in Parliament.
Yes.
We are interested to see what role did she play in your decision making, right? And so I ask the question with that context or that background. Is she, what she gave to you, her letter to you, and anything else that she has said, whether directly to you or publicly, before the 29th of December, before you made the decision, was any of it relevant in your making the decision to disband the PKTT?
No.
No. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Commissioner. If we can turn then to, we're still staying with SM8, but now we're at page 265. And here I am just highlighting one or two things, because as with the claims of Ms. Dihas, they relate to criminal and irregular conduct by member of SAPS, except she raises them insofar as they relate to the PKTT, okay? So now we turn to this document at 265. This is an official complaint registration form for the Portfolio Committee on Police in Parliament. You brought it to the Commission and I raise it with you, because if you turn to page 267, there is a specific question there that appears in the form. It appears like a pro forma question. Where have you taken your complaint before approaching Parliament? And the response Ms. Dihas fills in is, it was sent to the Minister of Police on the same day as it was sent to Parliament. You see where I'm reading? The second box at page 267. Just above the box is a question, where have you taken your complaint before approaching Parliament? And her response is typed in the box below that. And the first line is, it was sent to the Minister of Police on the same day as it was sent to Parliament. You see that?
Well, yes, I see that middle box.
Yes.
Yes, I'm trying to read it.
I say why I am bringing this to your attention is it would appear that these issues that are set out in this document to Parliament, as Ms. Dihas claims, were also brought to your attention.
Yes.
Is she correct in that regard?
To say...
Says it was sent to the Minister of Police on the same day it was sent to Parliament.
Probably.
Okay.
Although
because,
I don't have both dates. Yeah.
This would look like a retyped version, because at the original that is signed by Ms. Dihas starts at page 268. And I think it's dated it's signed by her 4 November 2024. So it would appear that somebody, it's not the most legible, so it appears like somebody rewrote it, or because this version is unsigned, but it is exactly the same. So we assume this is the one that you received probably on or after the 4th of November 2024.
Yes.
Okay. Now, once again, she repeats her call for the disbandment of the irregularly constituted political task team headed by General Kumalo, and calls for an urgent need for an oversight body and audit of task team funding. Now, one of the reasons, I think, or as part of the reasons you advance for the disbandment of the PKTT was a cost issue, like you raise in your statement. Am I just in summary?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, this document at page 265 states, under the statement of complaint, there is a box split in two. The upper portion is a smaller box than the bottom one. Do you see that?
Yes, I hope what.
Okay, I want to draw attention to the bigger box now, the second one, where she starts with the words, please see attached letter. Do you see where I'm reading?
Where she says what?
Please see attached letter and 3 annexures for full details.
Minister.
265.
265.
Yes, there's the heading, Minister, statement of complaint.
Official
Do you see
complaint.
that? A statement of complaint. There's a heading like that. Do you see that?
Oh, yes, in the middle.
Roughly halfway.
Yes, I see that.
Then there's the smaller box with 3 lines. You see that?
I see that.
Then
They call
the next
oh,
one.
I see.
Please see.
Please
attached.
see, yes, I see that now.
I'm indebted, Chair. Thank you. It says, please see attached letter and 3 annexures for full details. I need to add that since sending an advance copy to the committee secretary and to the Minister of Police on Friday, 1 November, allegations made by other police members about excessive expenditure by members of this team have apparently been confirmed by a report I received over the weekend that the Provincial Commissioner of SAPS, General Mchunu, approved funds for accommodation at the luxury Madlanga Rocks Hotel Oyster Box and upmarket bed and breakfast establishments in the same Madlanga Rocks area. And that as a consequence, there is insufficient money for petrol for some police vehicles. I'll stop there. Now, this talks to money issues. And the last I checked on Oyster Box, exceptionally irregular use of money, of funds, SAPS funds, particularly when she says she has a report of this kind of expenditure by General Mchunu with the result that there is insufficient money for petrol for some police vehicles. That would definitely affect the proper functioning of the police if this is correct. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree.
And that would be a matter that would be of some concern to you.
Yes, correct.
Having received this, because this claim is slightly different from the claim set out in the letter of the 10th of October. So it's a further claim. Did you investigate or cause for an investigation to be undertaken?
No.
May I ask why not?
In the same context that you would receive a lot of stuff about a lot of issues quite frequently, such that you deem it enough to read.
Okay.
If you come across such, but you don't necessarily, do an investigation. You see it as an allegation made by Mr. Haas, but you don't get it up to that level of investigation.
And when we turn to page 266.
260.
266.
Okay.
Yes. Overleaf.
Yes.
Then beyond the midway of the page, there are 2 boxes. The second box, under the question, what do you want the Portfolio Committee on Police to do? Then she states under 1 and 2, what she was asking of the Portfolio Committee. I would like us to look at item 2 in her response, because where she starts the second sentence, third line, under item 2, that reads, there must be an audit of funds allocated to this team for, quite apart from its gross abuses of suspects and others, the fact that it has achieved virtually nothing in terms of solving well-known politically linked cases in the 6 years it has operated confirms that it is a complete waste of taxpayers' money and raises serious questions about its real agenda being politically driven. Do you see where I'm reading?
Yes, I see.
Two questions here. She speaks of gross abuse of suspects and others by this team. Is that your understanding, since you're becoming the minister, that this team is guilty of gross abuse of suspects and others?
I'm aware that she made that.
No, are you aware of the claim that she makes?
Yes.
Okay, now, do you know the PKTT to be involved in gross abuses of suspects and others? You, Minister, personally?
No, I don't have.
When you receive this document, and I will assume that it's a serious matter, if it were ever to be held to be true. Once again, you did not seek to inquire into the correctness of the claim or to even, investigate, at least with General Masemola, about the issue, this particular issue raised. You didn't do that.
No.
Why not?
It's in the same context that
okay.
I raised before. You read, you keep, but you don't necessarily follow up.
This particular point is relevant because in the course of your testimony yesterday, you referenced the case of Mr. Mchunu, you recall?
Yes.
And you commented that which happened in 2018, and actually which was the trigger for the president's eventual decision to establish an IMC. You recall that?
Yes.
And you allege that nothing had been done in that case since then. You still stand by that statement?
Not that nothing has been done.
Okay.
What I specifically said is that I'm not aware of anybody who has been convicted.
Oh.
However, I'm aware of 4 people who have been charged for conspiracy to murder.
Okay.
And 1 person charged for murder.
Okay.
Those are the people that I'm aware of.
And those would be, to your understanding, the hitman, the supervisor, coordinator, stroke middleman, and the ward councillor who was a part of the plot for that murder. Are you aware those are the people who are arrested?
Yes, I know that there were 7 people who were arrested originally. 2 are out, and then 5 are remaining.
Okay.
And they are as I described them.
Okay. And are you aware that after their arrest, the matter was set down for trial for the 26th of March, 2024, and that the accused were initially denied bail, but were subsequently granted bail of 10,000 each by the High Court? Are you aware of those facts?
Yes, how I am aware of is I'm aware through family, just updating me from a distance. Yeah.
Now, if you are aware of all those facts and you appreciate that they have appeared in court, they have been charged, the matter has been set down for trial. In fact, they appeared for trial at 26 March 2024. Is it appropriate to blame the PKTT regarding the delay in conclusion of the trials and possible convictions?
I'm not blaming them.
Oh, I misunderstood you yesterday.
Yes.
I do apologize.
Okay.
I think just one last issue, and this as an issue you raise at your reason number 3 for your decision to disband the PKTT. And you state, third, SAP's budgetary and organizational obligations, including National Treasury instruction, and you list them.
Sorry, Ms. Lo, are you done with the you're not going to speak to the Ms. Berger complaint? You're done with that topic? That
You can proceed.
Okay, maybe before you go to the budget then. Minister, earlier we confirmed, or you confirmed, that where you said Parliament in paragraph 71, you meant Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Okay. What was the complaint that Mr. Adams raised with you?
He was complaining about him opening a case, first in the Western Cape and second in Gauteng, and
Yes.
there being no follow-up. And it's a matter we took to the National Commissioner, who responded, and we then conveyed the response as such. I got to understand that there was another complaint to the Chief of Staff, who then took that complaint to IDAC.
Okay. And that complaint, we've heard about it in the commission, but
Yes.
it has also played out publicly. I just want to confirm
Yes.
that it's the complaint against General Kumalo, and I think other people as well, to do with the appointment of somebody to the SAPS.
If I'm not mistaken, yes.
Yes, that's my understanding. So then, that kind of complaint, how could you have taken it into account, or how could it be a factor in your decision to disband as one of the matters that occupied you in your disbandment decision? Because it on the face of it, it has nothing to do with the PKTT.
Well, I do indicate in the first paragraph, as I did, that there are matters that came as complaints, like the ones that are from the people that I listed, which had nothing to do with. So my listing of that doesn't mean that all those categories of people who made complaints necessarily became a factor.
Okay, so Mr. Adams, his complaint to you is completely irrelevant to your decision
it's
to
different,
disband
yes,
the PKTT.
it is something else.
Okay,
Yeah.
so to the extent that we understood it as part of the concerns that you took into account, we are wrong. We shouldn't. That's not what you were conveying.
Not on the yes.
Okay. And the fourth here, because you do discuss in your statement, just so that after you have left the witness stand, we must not say we didn't hear how you explain this. If you go to your statement, and I think I'm trying to find where it starts. I'm told it's at page 32 of your statement.
Yes, I'm on it.
It starts at paragraph 87. You make mention there of a News 24 article about 2 attorneys who were arrested, and then you say the report says it's by the national, the NKPTT. Firstly, to note, this was before your appointment as a minister. This arrest.
Yes.
Okay, that was in March
May.
2024,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Now, you refer to the News 24 and you refer to a Daily Maverick report in May 2024, which reported on this. Is this one of the things you took into account?
It's one of the things that I read.
Yeah, you didn't take that into account in your decision. It didn't inform your decision.
Look, it's one of the things I read and I became aware, but I didn't say I'm going to put it as a factor, because I didn't speak to Ms. Bradley. I merely looked at it and said, in the category of some complaints about human rights, there's this that has been flagged, this that has been flagged.
Okay, so we should accept that it's not a factor that you took into account.
Yes.
Okay.
I indicate somewhere as well that there is a claim or an indication that she has applied to come to the commission herself, and therefore I leave it at that.
Okay, all right. Now, I'm just confirming that because it appears under your heading about human rights abuses by the NKPTT, as you refer to it, and I just wanted to be sure that is this one of those cases of abuse that you did not verify but you took into account, but you say you did not take into account.
Yes.
You didn't inform your decision. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. I had asked us to go to page 57 of your statement, Minister.
Page?
57. And there I just want to paragraph 170, you deal with the third reason and you highlight SAP's budgetary and organizational obligations.
Yes.
And as we've come to learn, General Dimpane is responsible for that side of things for SAPS, correct?
Yes.
Is that your understanding as well? And General Dimpane, I am sure you are well aware, made a statement to the ad hoc committee
Yes.
and appeared before the ad hoc committee. She, however, has not appeared before this commission yet.
Yes.
You have a file, Exhibit 1 of 2. Yes, 1 of 2. Annexure CJC 54.5. And that would start at page 163. Yes.
Which bundle, page?
Exhibit file 1, page 163. No, I don't think we've ever called up this particular file, so it's most likely still to be in your box.
And you said page?
Page 163.
I have the bundle.
Here's there. As you will note, Minister, from that document, it's the statement General Dimpane submitted to the ad hoc committee. She has since formally communicated with this commission to our secretary on the 4th of December 2025 that she submits the same statement to this commission and it should be treated as a statement for the commission. Do you understand?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, on this one, I would like us to start at page 178. We are dealing with the cost issue. And if you're at 178 at her paragraph 15, he speaks of these various deployments, interventions, task teams, and operations, and states that these have been coordinated and managed by SAPS over multiple financial years. You don't quibble with that claim, do you?
I'm aware of that.
Yes. And if you go over leaf, he then sets out a table. She has titled it Table B, and she records expenditures per task team over the period, their respective periods of existence. And you will note that, because now we're having a conversation about funding and budget, the most expensive is the illicit mining, only Kara funding, at 1.1 billion over a 3-year period, 2023-24, up to 2025-26, and that is up to the 30th of September 2025. Now, my question is, based on what you have testified to thus far, and the budgetary constraints and the concerns you have, would it be fair to assume that you have expressed your concerns regarding the expenditure pattern of that particular task team, or not?
Illicit mining.
Yeah, illicit mining, the first on the table, yes.
Yeah, at some point we did discuss expenditure with National Commissioner, but it was in the context when we needed to take part from underground at a particular point in December, January, that we didn't have money to do that.
And I note that in the financial year 25-26, and that normally starts on the 1st of April of any year, yes.
1 April.
By the 30th of September, 294 million had been expended towards that task team, contrasting that with the political task team, which stands at 16 million. So I need to understand, if you are able to help me, why you would have such serious cost concerns when it comes to the PKTT, to a point that you order that it must be disestablished, when its expenditure in the first 6 months is 16 million, but a later established task team has already expended 294 million in the same period of 6 months, and that whatever concern you may have on that is not enough for you to act upon it. Why would that be?
Well, contexts are different. In the first place, they indicate that the source of money is Kara, not the actual budget allocated by Treasury to us.
But it's still public funds, if I understand this, or is it private funds?
Kara,
from public?
It comes from public,
yes.
From money that gets collected and so on.
Yes.
Now, but I'm merely making a difference that it comes from Kara, not from the budget. But two, as I did indicate, that we would have loved that 16 million that you're referring to is expenditure associated with murder and robbery,
yes,
in whatever sub-unit, instead of a standalone team like PKTT. Not necessarily from the point of view that they are wasting it. I haven't done that kind of exercise. But from the point of view of saying, once you have a team, once you mainstream them into murder and robbery, you don't have the responsibility of scrapping from other programs to fund them.
Yes.
leaving gaps where that money comes from, whether it is whether it's from detectives or it's from operations.
Okay.
You keep the money for what it is designed for in terms of programming. But here, this is money that comes from Kara. I do see that it's quite a huge expenditure, but I'm saying that's the difference.
Yes.
That's how it arises.
Would you accept that in life we generally apply the principle of value for money? So however an expensive an item or exercise may be deemed to be from a subjective perspective, affordability or whether or not the expenditure should be incurred is always considered in the context of the value derived from that expenditure. Am I making sense?
Yes,
Yes.
you are.
Are you suggesting, therefore, that that 16 million expended on the PKTT to date did not derive any value and therefore ought to have been diverted to the murder and robbery squad?
Not at all.
Okay.
It is in the context. It is in the context of an exercise that has been done over time called establishment of specialized units. That is streamlining how subs should work.
Yes.
And then among those, you have murder and robbery. But at the same time, you have PKTT. It arises only in that particular context to say you would have this amount budgeted for in terms of the appropriate program and spent accordingly. Specialized unit, murder and robbery, serious and so on. And you don't have any other expenditure outside that. If you have, you are increasing and building capacity internally in a sustainable way rather than spending on an ad hoc committee. In other words, on an ad hoc team, on a temporal team.
Yes.
That is the context in which we differentiate.
But then in that context as well, it would have benefited, I would think, your thinking to engage with General Dimpane, who's head of finance in SAPS, and have engagements with her about these budgetary issues and budgetary constraints, and how, in her view, she would consider would be an appropriate use of SAPS budget. You know, you'd have benefited significantly from such an engagement. Before you take the decision, would you agree?
We did engage.
Yes.
She did brief us about finances generally. She did tell us that there's been a reduction in increase in nominal terms, but reduction in real terms.
Yes.
And it did arise when we're talking about priorities of the ministry, that there's no money to do this, there's no money to do that, including building of police stations and so. So it did in various manners, in a variety of meetings. So I know that we have a budget that doesn't meet the obligations of SAPS.
Yeah.
Yes.
And did that engagement extend to specifically the budget for the PKTT? To your recollection, it didn't?
No, we didn't deal with the budget for each unit. Remember, there are other units. We didn't deal with...
I was more interested in the PKTT only. No, you didn't. And you are correct, because General Dimpane, at her paragraph 20 of the statement, page 181, that annexure that is open before you, does confirm that, and she states, I have never spoken to the minister about the PKTT budget. All discussions concerning the allocation of funds to PKTT are solely between me and the National Commissioner. So she would be correct in that regard.
She would be correct, although I would consider statement, quite the end part of it, quite interesting to say public expenditure in the department is a matter between the two of them. But I'm not debating that. I'm just citing something interesting. There's something that I lost.
Minister,
I wanted to
just
say
a moment. Just a moment.
Yes.
To be fair to her, that's not what she's saying. All she's saying there is that all discussions concerning the allocation of funds to PKTT are solely between me and the National Commission. She's not suggesting that if you have concerns, you cannot raise them.
Yes. Just lost something. It's the matter of expenditure of PKTT. It comes in the sense that you have an alternative structure that you should be using for the same purpose that PKTT is using. That is what the Commission needs to note when we discuss this. On illicit mining, for instance, as an example, you don't have an alternative. You just have to do what you have to do. If there were an alternative, you simply would have done that. That is why at some point, I think this year, we held a meeting called Optimization of the Budget of SAPS. It was an effort, a detailed and effort to encourage SAPS management, CFO in particular, to lead that effort of optimizing the budget. So where you have alternatives, both of them costly, you see whether you shouldn't integrate them so that you get the better out of all of them.
But Minister, your task team, or the new task team, Taxi Violence of 2024, undermines that consideration, because you do have an alternative. You do have a murder and robbery division in the Eastern Cape. They were not effective. What you did not do, you did not put in resources to murder and robbery to enhance their ability to do this. You in fact formed a new team, and they took funds that were not budgeted for. So the financial concern you raise about PKTT is equally valid for your Eastern Cape Taxi Violence task team that you created in December.
Yes, it is for that reason that even though we say task teams can or may be established as and when the need arises, but don't adopt that as the way in which SAPS need to work, need to do their job. Don't factor it in and allow it like that, because it's wasteful. That in that example, that what is an example of what is not desirable.
Yeah, but you created a task team anyway, so it's really to test it seems you're not consistent in your reasoning about your budgetary concerns, about the structural implications of having a task team. There is inconsistency in it, because the one you disband in December, among the reasons you give to us here is we need to use our resources better, our budget better. And no one can argue with that, against that. That, yeah, every day, even in our personal lives, we need to use our budgets better. No one can argue with that. But it is the inconsistency in your justification for disbanding the PKTT, as applies to the PKTT, but the same considerations don't seem to apply to a task team that you form in the same month. And I'm speaking both budgetary concerns that you have raised and the organizational structure, operating outside of the organizational structure. Please make me understand why it is justifiable those reasons you give in respect of the PKTT when you disband it in December, and the same considerations don't apply, because they don't. Otherwise, you would not have set up that. If you had considered them consistently, you wouldn't have set up that task team, because murder and robbery in the Eastern Cape can do this. And there's a budget for murder and robbery to deal with that kind of stuff. You would have found other ways of enhancing their capability. But no, you created a structure outside of the normal organizational structure. You got money drawn from other sources that should be used for other purposes that were budgeted for. You pull it out for a specific task team. Please make me understand why this inconsistent treatment of task teams that both deal with murder.
It's not inconsistency. It's not. I have endeavored to explain that PKTT is a sitting task team, if I could use that word to qualify, 7 years in office. What alternative do you have? Specialized unit. Which one? Murder and robbery. There isn't an instance in KZN where murder and robbery would have been found to be weak and dysfunctional, where you would then have intervened. That one in the Eastern Cape is an intervention.
No, Minister, you can't say that, because much earlier in our discussion, you admitted that you never received a report about the capabilities of murder and robbery in KZN. So we settled that, or at least I thought we settled that when you made the decision, and because on the basis that murder and robbery should deal with those
yes,
political cases.
I remember.
Yes, you said I didn't have a report, and Ms. Silo, in fact, referred you to an affidavit of General Mutsepe, where she says, well, the capabilities had not yet been established.
We didn't end up like that, Commissioner. I ended up my statement by saying, I rely on the submission. I relied at that time when I wrote this directive on the reports, the Marai reports, which had signatures up to Deputy National Commissioner, approving implementation, not establishment. Whatever it was based on, it was them who made an assessment and agreed and signed and submitted to National Commissioner. Now, I sit here and I get that I rely on them and I say it means all is well. These are senior officials. I have nothing to doubt. In the case of Eastern Cape, when this problem erupts, it struck us as a situation requiring intervention in the form of a team led by General Zulu. When she gets there, she then discovers, when she now wants to intervene and empower these people, and she discovers what she discovered that we went through. And then she writes that report to say, this is what, they are not a 7-year sitting intervention. They are not an IMC built or established. They are based on what has just erupted. They are sent there. They say 3 months, they deal with that particular problem. They ask for another 3 months, they deal with that particular problem. I agreed with you, Commissioner, that the principles are the same, but the situation, the actual situation that we are arguing about are not the same, not at all. But in the Eastern Cape, I agree with you. We have the alternative. What's the alternative? It is the specialized unit that would stop even an intervention, short as it would be, even if it's extended. But it's one of those things that you would regard as a weakness in the department that require addressing rather than as a practice that must recur and be accepted as a norm in terms of how subs should function, because it's wasteful. Now, when General Motsipe say that, she is at the same time saying we are not performing well as head of this particular. In other words, I'm not performing well. That's why I still have this and this, and higher up to me. That I now know that quite a number of officers have not been able to establish this as intended long ago as 2019. So there are those differences. On the side of specialized units, we want to build permanency, if there is English like that. We want to build sustainability, and ideally that would function without the need for interventions of whatever nature.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Silla?
Thank you, Commissioner. And staying with General Dimpane's statement, please turn to page 182. And I'm just going to read part of paragraph 25, and then I'm going to invite you. I'm going to invite you to comment. And at 25, General Dimpane states as follows: I've heard it stated that as the CFO, I also advocated for the disbandment or deactivation of the team before the minister made his decision to disband the team. Do you see where I'm reading, Minister?
I see that.
Overlook then. However, these comments have been taken out of context. I drew attention to the fact that the team had been in existence for 5 years, and given the ongoing need, as well as to ensure proper planning, budgeting, accountability, and proper resource allocation, it might be necessary to prepare a work study to establish a permanent structure. I stated that as the component head, OD must be, and it's a quotation there, open quotes, tasked to urgently conduct a work study investigation for the establishment of a permanent structure in KZN, close quote. Rather than advocating the disbandment of PKTT, I advocated that a study be conducted to determine whether it should be made a permanent structure, and I'll stop there. Now, this is General Dimpane, who penned in that note, in the information note, explaining what her words, what she meant with her comments, and pointing out that you took her words out of context, as if she was advocating for the establishment of the task team. So do you agree? What's your comment to what she stated in her affidavit?
It's not stated what exactly I said. It's just a commentary that Minister made his decision to disband the team. I also advocated for the disbandment. I don't know whether she's taking me verbatim on this matter. I doubt. But to the effect that she wrote like this, let's suppose that it is correct what she says on page 183. We agree with her. How she interprets that and so on, for whatever purpose, she was making a sound statement about expenditure. And I would say it was in broad reference to that, not to say particularly, specifically. She wrote somewhere that PKTT must be disbanded. She was talking from a particular perspective. I agree with her. It's not a big issue.
So perhaps then just to clarify, the position is, because I think that comment you made before the ad hoc committee,
Yes.
and with reference to notes General Dimpani had made regarding the budgeting for PKTT in the period, I think it was up to March 2024.
Yes.
And so you accept that whatever she wrote in the comments there cannot be construed as support for the disbandment of the PKTT, whatever wording she used. That's not how you understood it, and that's not how you think a reader should understand her words. Is that your position?
Let me first say that I don't have what I have. She doesn't refer to what I said exactly.
No,
Let me pass that.
Apologies, Minister. I was asking a different question. You did make that point. My next question now is whether your position is that you did not understand any of her notes on that document to suggest that she supports the disbandment of the PKTT. That's all.
No, I wouldn't say she supports, because I suppose that she was never requested to support or not to support. What she was given was to consider the budget or consider the request as was put. And then she made certain comments.
Yes.
Whatever comments she made, then I make reference to those comments that she made. Not necessarily to say she supports or she doesn't support. Okay. Just taking those comments as they were.
Yes.
To say these are the comments that and I consider them to be sound, those comments, but not from a endorsement as an endorsement.
Yes.
Of because we didn't. We were not talking about her and what she would have written or not written. We were talking about the state of finances.
Yes.
And what has come in the environment. That was the reference.
Commissioner Kumalo would like to.
Minister, when did you first learn of Lieutenant General Dimpani's comment?
General Dimpani's comments were quite early. They came in 2024. I think it was at in about March. Later in the year, I became aware of this.
So this document, you became aware of it before you made your decision on 31 December 2020?
Yes, it was before the 31st.
Thank you for that response, Minister. Commissioner Baloyi?
Are you leaving this
Yes,
topic? All right. Maybe one last thing to do with the budget concerns. You, in your paragraph 31, and you spoke to this yesterday, you say no further extensions were sought. This is extension for the PKTT's mandate. As a result, the PKTT continued operating without the required assessment and renewal for more than 2 years. And then you say, I'm advised that this rendered the expenditure on the PKTT irregular under the PFMA. You see where I'm reading, Minister?
Yes.
And then you repeat it slightly differently in paragraph 170. And this time you repeat it as one of your reasons. You say temporary, you see 170?
Yes.
Okay. You say third, SAP's budgetary and organizational obligations, including those treasury instructions and guidelines, require that operational functions be located within approved properly formed funded cost centers. Temporary teams outside the approved structure cannot be sustained, and their continuation exposes subs to irregular expenditure. The PKTT had not been formally extended since July 2022, rendered continued expenditure irregular under the PFMA. You say that. You started
Yes.
off saying you were advised.
Yes.
Now, General Dimbane says you've never discussed, or she's never discussed with you, the expenditure of the PKTT,
Yes.
the budget. She says that.
Yes.
Who would have advised you that expenditure of the PKTT is irregular under the PFMA?
I was advised by my lawyers. I did indicate that yesterday.
Okay.
I simply put a situation as I understood it, and the discussion.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to be careful not to get into any conversations that you have had with your lawyers.
Okay.
You mean your present lawyers?
Yes.
But you see, you cite it as a reason for disbanding. So this is something you must have had by the 29th. That you've had conversations with your present lawyers, I shouldn't get into it. I'm not allowed to get into
That's
it.
fine.
I'm discussing it as a third reason for your decision because it appears under the heading reasons for my directive, and you say third, it's the expenditure is irregular. So my question, hence my question to you, that as at the 29th of December, who would have told you this if the CFO tells Parliament that she's not discussed matters of the PKTT budget with you? Who else in SAPS, as at the 29th of December, told you it's irregular expenditure?
No, before the 29th, I wasn't focused on irregular or regular from the point of view of SAPS or of PKTT. But I was aware that by the 29th, 30th and 31st, that for quite a number of years, SAPS incurs irregular expenditure, whether it comes from PKTT expenditure or from any. But what I was aware of, that before I wrote that PKTT is a temporal team. It derives its budget, I was aware of that, from national. Now, where national? From various programs. And I was aware that Treasury is discouraging that and encouraging us to discourage it in our departments to do that kind of allocation because it constitutes irregular, in some cases unauthorized. I was aware of that. But whether it is to the extent that I wrote it here, I wrote it when I joined that sentence. That no, it's when we're talking that this is the reason.
Okay.
This is the additional thing that I could add, but I was aware of irregularity.
So you didn't find out for the first time with your new law, with your current legal representatives. It wasn't the first time you realized this expenditure is irregular.
No.
It wasn't.
No.
Okay. Then why do you say in your statement, I am advised, and I want to complete it with from what you are saying now, I'm advised by my lawyers that the expenditure is irregular, if in fact you knew that on the 29th of December?
Well, I could have coined it differently.
No, Minister, it's not coining. No, Minister, let me, maybe I'm being unfair to you. I'll put to you what I want to suggest, that you either knew already at that time, and so you didn't need your lawyers to your current legal representatives to tell you that. And I don't know why you would
Yes.
add it in the statement, or alternatively, it had nothing, the decision, you had no knowledge, it wasn't a factor, the regularity or irregularity of that expenditure. It wasn't a factor at 29 December. It's something that you constructed after you've sent out the letter to say, oh, by the way, one of the problems, now I know on the 1st or 2nd, 3rd of January, actually one of the problems is that, or one of the justifications is that it is an irregular expenditure, so that on this alternative, which is my proposal of what I think is happening here, is that it's a later fabrication. After you've made the decision, you then decided to tag this on as another reason why you disbanded the PKTT. Do you want to comment on that?
Yes, there's no way I was not aware, because we had discussions even at Cabinet up to a level where we were instructed, if I could use that word, that we should optimize our budgets, we should avoid irregular expenditures, we should spend money, encourage our officials to spend money for what they are allocated for. And long before, I think I even knew that there would be allocations that would be made. We held a meeting to optimize. So I was quite aware earlier. That's why I'm saying that doesn't affect the fact that I was fully aware.
Is there, maybe finally, is there anywhere before the 29th of December that you saw General Dimpani express concern that this expenditure of the PKTT is irregular? Is there any way that you see where
No.
she recorded that?
I have never seen anything from
we
her.
haven't. Yes, we haven't
but
either.
What I've seen is just irregular expenditure in subs, recurring over years, but not to say from PKTT.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Minister.
Let me just follow up on that.
Let us adjourn and resume at 17:15.